Yo, what's good, yo? So like on this video, guys, I wanna explain some I wanna make the Kundalini much more simple, to understand, right? For my spiritual people. So as you can see, I found this picture, right? And it seems very imaginative of this idea, right? It's like this person was having this idea when he created this picture, the Kundalini, So as you can see here, right at the bottom where the mouse is, right, is our low animalistic natures, right? Is the energies for low, low life force activities, the things that will need you to be more forceful towards life, right? Ideas, thoughts, emotions, people, places, things, right? If you find yourself in those circumstances, then by default you are born with your Kundalini very low, So as you become aware, right, and conscious of your life, you can then transmute all this blocked up energy here. As I said, when you're in a low vibrational environment, your energy by default is gonna be trapped right here on the Kundalini space. I mean on this lower level space here, on this lower dimension, on your lower chakras, basically your lower energy field, your devilish natures, all those fears, negativity, and all the bullshit that you can think about is there. That's where it belongs, down here, So what they mean, right, when they mean Kundalini rising, is basically the transmutation, right, of these low animalistic natures, so that this energy that's trapped up in here, because energy is always flowing around us, right? But when it goes through you, if your chakras are blocked, right, the one that is open, that energy is gonna play off in that field, and you're gonna experience life from that field alone. So when you start to become more conscious and aware, and you can then transmute it higher and higher, you're gonna reach to a point whereby now your Kundalini is in your solar plexus, right? And once it reaches your solar plexus, the energy of life, the life force, if it's not trapped up here, right, aka you are now improving as a person, it will naturally go up and up until it goes out of your head, ouch, But wait on. So now, when it reaches this space here, the sacral, right, your willpower, your stomach, your gut, but right, when it reaches your gut, right, you will become intuitive, right? You will start to become aware of your own drive, your own passions, your own intuition, for life, your own payments or transactions that you make with life, and it can boil down to all kinds of circumstances. You can start to become aware if the world is making you happy, or if you are making the world happy or not happy, some things like that. So now, once you reach this point, by default it's gonna rise, right? Because it has already crossed the first dimension, right? So once it crosses over the sacrum chakra, it's gonna go to the soul, and once it reaches the soul, it has crossed the lower dimension by default. So now you're gonna be here, right, in your heart chakra, your gut chakra, and your throat chakra, basically, So that's when you're gonna start to become more creative, right? When your Kundalini has risen to this point right here on your chest. As you can see, the Kundalini well is still here on the bottom. It's scattered, There's a lot of these small balls, as you can see, these small particles. But once it reaches here, it changes color, right? And it becomes what? And here, pay attention, it's blue. Here it becomes red and yellow. So here is blue, meaning that is the lower dimensions, this earth, this air where we are, the part of the waters that we are at, it's blue, right? And when we go up, that's why when we look up, we feel like we are looking at God, because in a sense we can see that redness. There is a red spectrum that is ultraviolet that we can feel, So that's why we always look up when we feel like we are talking to God. So now, when your Kundalini is here, right? Remember, it's just energy flowing in your body. When you are too programmed, right, and like you don't have your own mind, you always rely upon other people to think for yourself, right, and things like that, your Kundalini is gonna be trapped in here by default in the third level dimension. And when you die, you're gonna always come here until you can transcend at least, and then come here, right? Then you know that you're gonna experience something new when you die. But as long as it is still trapped here, aka you're still negative, you're still fearful, you're still jealous, your Kundalini by default is still here, and but 9 times out of 10 people who are lost here, they are lost into fleshly desires, so that's one other huge sign that you can pay attention to. If you are lost into your fleshly desires, right, then your Kundalini is definitely trapped here. It can't rise. And what we want is to get it here. As you can see, you see this head is so big. You should ask yourself, this is the whole universe out here. So your Kundalini is still trapped on the tail. As a stem cell, your Kundalini is still trapped on the tail. So it means by default you're gonna have a miscarriage. You don't have enough life force for you to go to heaven. But that's another video. So now, when it reaches here, right, on this space right here, on your heart, you're gonna start to become intuitive, creative, productive. Those are the ways I can use, but not necessarily that. It's just that you're gonna rise to a certain level of energy, right? That is not average, that is not normal to the average person, right? This person who's trapped in this negative emotion vibration, fear, jealousy, hatred, all that bullshit. And then people who are here are gonna be people who are lost into love, passion, drive, motivation. Those are the people who have risen their Kundalini till here. And now when your Kundalini rises towards here, aka when you've opened your spinal cords, right, to this point, right, you're gonna find yourself being the most active person. You never run out of energy, whether you eat or you don't eat. You just have enough energy to carry out all your things. You can even lend your energy to other people, for them to do their things. That's how much powerful you are, without them even knowing. It's like, those kind of people who can see people doing bad things, right, and they still have that patience, that reverence, right, to look at people in a sense that, okay, they are still growing up, not physically but spiritually. So those kind of people who have that kind of insight in life, that perspective, those are the people who have risen their Kundalini towards you. They'll see you damaging yourself. They'll see people, basically, like people like Jesus, right? They'll see people destroying them. They'll see people doing bad things to them, but they have such an understanding that not even like people who are on the lower spectrums, right? People who are from the neck below, they will not really understand what this person is really looking at. We are all looking at the same reality, but this person here who's raising their Kundalini towards this place here, that person is in a whole different reality. It's like they are in heaven while they are living with, it's like us, right? We are in heaven in a sense that we are higher than the insects and small things, So a person who's in here is sort of like looking at reality from that perspective, that, okay, those people who are living on that frequency vibration down here are like insects. You can't judge insects. Insects have their own natures, and 9 times out of 10 people who behave like that, right, who are looked at as insects, are truly gonna come back to this life when they die as insects. And low vibrational things like rocks, trees, things that don't move so much, because by default 9 times out of 10 those people are the people who are in this world lazy. They can't do things for themselves, they can't think for themselves, they are weak spiritually, they can have energy physically, but when you start to talk about them doing things when there's nothing in the external, right, they can't do shit, they can't stand for themselves, they can't stand with themselves, but that's just a characteristic that is physical. You don't have to look at it in a judgmental sense, it's just nature of life. That's why the people that are awakened, they will tell you that you need to let go, right? Because when you let go of the things that do not serve you, you then open up more of your subconscious, right? Your cellular level, your cellular activity. You open it up much more so that this Kundalini can start to flow, as you can see. And once it flows to this point right here, as I said, it's going to start connecting to the Kundalini of the universe itself, because this universe is a life force, right? And that life force, it's going through, it's like a magnetic field, right? Once this magnetic field has been created from our feet, right, to our heads, and it's been re-energized over and over again, right? It's being re-energized over and over again through activity, thought, whatever. Then it's gonna be so powerful, right? To the point that the magnet of the universe, right, aka the spirits, the angels, right, they're gonna start to be aware of you, even though you are in a physical body, because you've influxed your spirit, right, so much. Then they can see that charge. That's when people are gonna call you lucky, you know, all those good stuff, because they think you are lucky, but they don't know that you are connected to what this field, right? The way nature meant us to be, you know. So as you can see, even in this drawing, this person, I don't know who drew this, but this is exactly how it looks like, depending on the kind of artistic, you know, background you come from. But for me, it's clear enough. I can see what is happening here. For a lot of people, it's just going to be a blurry ass picture, but for me, it's very clear. I immediately knew what this person drew when I saw it. So as you can see, these portals are basically just those spirits that I'm talking about, those angels, right? They can then see you as a portal because of this flux that you've created. You see, over time, when you become a good person, when you start to stick to the right path, you create a flux. When you stick to the wrong path, you create a backward flux, so you lose your flux, to the point that now the angels is just another term for God, you know? So that you then reverse the cycle to a point that God does not see you anymore. You know, the God will not see you anymore, and even things that belong to God, they will not resonate with you anymore, to the point that you actually die as a spirit, and then you remain as a space, so that you can start to build up your charges again once you develop a temperament in your nothingness, you know. But that's another video, because as you can see, I just wanted to make things clear, right, so that nobody will be confused about this Kundalini experience, you know? Because the Kundalini is not anything else but the very life force that you are living by, or live for, in, you know. So the process of how this Kundalini works is what's confusing a lot of people. Now I broke it down that there's 3 layers. There's first dimension, second dimension, and third dimension. First dimension is the Kundalini in your animalistic natures, having no morals, you know, having no direction, having no intention. So it's just energy that is built up to be used for any kind of fleshly activity, you know. That's why a lot of people, they are lost into fleshly desires when they have their energy trapped here. And once it rises, then you can start to feel for other people, you know. You can start to look at another person as an actual person, not for how you think a person should be at any moment in time, you know. But that's another video again. So once it reaches here at your top, right, you're gonna start to develop clairvoyance. You're gonna start to see your lower self and your your higher self. Oh, let me say your higher self and your shadow, you know. So as you can see, this person is basically transcribing that this lower self, right, is being informed, or is being influxed, right, to the point that now an angel has come into contact with them. You see. So these are people like me, you know, people who understand the language of demons and angels, right? And once you get to this point right there, life is completely different. Like I'm telling you, when people say life is different because they're talking about because they have money or they eat differently, things like that. No, what I mean is that life is literally different. Everything, the sun is different, the ground is different, your feet are different, your mouth is different, everything is different through the senses, like I said, and your senses are basically your whole experience as a human. So now everything is going to change. It's like an egg is cracking right in front of you, and you start to develop a new pair of eyes. That's how I can put it. Either way, there's no way to actually put it. Only you have to experience this. And if you are still a negative, fearful, jealousy, all that bullshit kind of person, you will always be trapped in this lower dimension for the next 6,000 years. Right? You're gonna die, and then you're gonna come back in a different body. Maybe you might be an insect, because here, as I said, the energy is not controllable. It's just scattered here. It can go either way here, but when it gets here, it's controlled. It can build a solar system. It can build a universe. When your energy is trapped here and you die, you can actually become a universe or something like that. But as long as you're still a human, right, your energy is here. If you are born in a human body, your energy is gonna be here, and then your work is to what? Shed all those bullshit that you have about the world and yourself, and then your kundalini by default will rise. And once it rises, then the world is gonna be different. It's gonna be much more open. It's gonna be friendly. It's gonna be your friend. I'm not talking about the world, the people that you know. I'm talking about the whole world, the objective world, as a being on its own will become friendly to you. It's gonna be your friend, and once it reaches here, right, you then realize that this is not my friend, this is me, right? This world is not my friend, it's me. Everything is me pushed out from multiple time frames, perspectives, all right. So basically that's how it works. So don't ever let other people get you lost in this, information, because there's a lot of ways to describe what is happening here. There's no explanation or anything that tells you about Kundalini, but me, I can see it right there. That's what I'm saying. Like, it takes a certain level of inclination, right, for you to even reach a point whereby you can become aware of who you are in general, before you can even become aware of these things, right? Because these things are far, like from an average person, right, they are further away. They can't even grasp such things, but I know a lot of you throughout time you're gonna be able to understand it. So anyway, see you on the next one. 9